Ahead of the vote, the Interactive Software Federation of Europe and the European Game Developers Federation issued a joint statement to GamesIndustry.biz, saying the two trade bodies were, quote, concerned by calls for stricter regulation of all in-game purchases. They would be. The pair said such regulation will impact the ability of all game firms to fund development. This is the... There's definitely a world where the regulations go too far. I kind of doubt that it would, because we talk about the necessary evil with like free-to-play games. Like, well, the microtransactions have to exist. Because it's like, okay, well, how are they going to make money? How is the developer / publisher going to make money off of the game? It's like that. It's like you can run ads. You can, like sell a subscription. There's a lot of different ways that, like, you pay for making something free to access as a developer. You pay for something. I don't mean monetarily, but like, actually, yeah, literally monetarily. There's a price to pay, which is that you have to find other means of monetizing, which some people might find predatory. It's definitely very easy to push these things into predatory territory. Predatory territory. Like a Smash tournament. Ha 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 ha. Sorry. What they're worried about is obviously their bottom line here. The ISFE and the EGDF. Assuming, I actually do have some faith that the laws, if there are any laws that are passed to regulate these kinds of things, that they will be there to prevent... Excuse me. They'll be there to prevent the kinds of sort of egregious displays that we've seen. Things like fucking what EA does with FIFA, what Blizzard has done with, Diablo and all this shit. Prevent that kind of thing from happening, as opposed to no one can have microtransactions in their game anymore, because microtransactions, I think like categorically microtransactions are fine. Like, it's understandable. It's it's less than you would pay. Obviously, it's just less than you would pay for the game itself. If it was like a full price or even half price or reduce, like a $20 game, instead it's free, but you can maybe spend like $1 or something on a thing, $5 on something. I also sort of think about it as like, well, okay, I make money on Patreon, right? People give me money because I have made a thing, right? I choose not to monetize the videos themselves, so the videos are free for you to watch on YouTube, as long as you have an internet connection. But that doesn't count for, the price for what I make. So I offered content for free on YouTube. If there's ads on any of my videos, it's because they get copyright claimed. If you've seen one, and then afterwards, people give me money for them. So like, how in my mind, I don't know how different that is. For instance, from like a free-to-play game that just offers microtransactions, like. You can just tip me. You can just send me some money on Patreon if you'd like. And guess what? There's a very small number of my audience that does. There's about 6 or 7 people who actually gives me money every month. kind of like, how the minority of people who play free-to-play games are the ones actually funding them. So, like, I think, like, categorically, I don't have an issue with the idea of microtransactions. And I don't know exactly how many people do. I think that when people argue against them, it's because there has been this implementation of microtransactions that is pretty disagreeable, that is predatory and relies on using these psychological tricks and the FOMO and all that to encourage people. Maybe pressure would be a better word. Pressure people into spending money, and I think that's where the issue comes from. That's what people have unfortunately associated with. I think on its face, it's a fine business model to have. I think it can actually be very consumer friendly. There's totally games that I've played games, that I think did microtransactions in a very a pretty fair way. But there are instances of like more instances of games that do them in a predatory way. And that's where the opposition comes from. I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself at this point, but it's the brain fog.